I sat down with Craig Koopersmith to have a deep conversation about how he approaches life. After all, you don't just become the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company. It takes commitment, hard work, and a completely different mindset. Achieving success is one thing. Staying on top and dealing with all the challenges, that's something completely different. So what's it like to be Craig Koopersmith? Let's find out. Welcome to The Person Within. All right, well, Craig, thank you very much for doing this. I really appreciate it, letting me get inside the mind of Craig Koopersmith.
Inside the mind.
Inside the mind.
That's a very interesting place.
All right, so I broke these questions out into sections: habits, inner self, productivity, favorites, and then a couple of questions directly about you. But going about your habits, do you have any morning routines that you do?
Oh yeah, I do. One of the things that's fun for me is coffee is a ritual.
Okay.
And some people just want to wake up and have their coffee. No. I grind my beans daily. I have a French press. I put the very fine coffee in the French press. I add just the right amount of cinnamon. I get the water just the right temperature before I pour it into the French press. And then it steeps for 4 minutes, plus or minus, before I add it to my favorite mug, which is also part of the ritual. I have several favorite mugs. The one I have right now it's really favorite, has a really nice Ohm symbol on it, which I had to go and find that one and order it.
Yeah.
And so just something as simple as coffee can become a ritual that I don't know, my wife and I both, she likes tea in the morning usually, and it's a ritual for her too. And these small rituals add flavor, and I don't know, they add enhancement to what could be just going through the drive-thru and getting a cup of coffee.
So Craig, why is that? So somebody else would say, I'm just going to go through the drive-thru. Why is that your morning ritual? How does that start your day off right?
Well, that's a great question. So I have a very high sense of urgency. I did a personality profile test some time ago, and that actually measured sense of urgency, and I was in the 99th percentile. So I've spent my whole life looking forward and just running as hard as I can. And there are certain rituals that slow me down. So for example, I travel a lot, and I almost always travel with my briefcase. Well, I have a briefcase that's very special that I shopped at length for before I finally found the right one.
That's right. That's right.
But one of the things I like about it is there's two straps with two buckles, and the straps, you make them up like a belt buckle, and then you feed it through the little retainer, right? Well, when I'm going through security, it's very important to me because it slows me down. So ever since I got that bag, I haven't lost anything in security.
Oh, wow.
But in my prior life, I even left a laptop once. Now, fortunately, I was able to get it before it disappeared.
Right.
But because we rush through life, and sometimes you need things to slow you down.
Excellent. What about daily habits? Do you have any daily habits that you do throughout the day? Do you work out regularly?
I do. I work out a lot. I've been exercising my whole life, and I can't live without it.
Excellent.
And interestingly enough, it's funny you bring that up because my exercise regime has changed dramatically just in the last 6 months. I'll tell you why. I'm aging. I'll be 67 years old. I know I only look 50, but I'm going to be 67 years old, and I'm still kicking ass on the tennis court. And I intend to continue as long as I possibly can. And I read a book called Younger Next Year. Have you ever heard of that book?
No.
That's a very interesting book. And I've actually read many books on the subject of nutrition, and I've become a strict vegan.
Really?
And I love it. Oh my God. My wife and I both, we are, when I say a strict vegan, I mean we are seriously vegan, and we don't eat oil.
Wow.
which is a really big deal, okay? So it doesn't matter, I won't
Yeah,
go into
yeah,
it.
it's all right.
But we've been reading a lot of books on this subject because we're trying to be healthy. And this book, the Younger Next Year book, complements a book by Peter Attia. I don't remember what he called his book, but he defined the term of this centenarian decathlon.
Okay.
Well, what he meant by that is that if you want to age and enjoy the last third of your life, you have to change the behaviors that are so typical in American society. And so most people, when they reach the age of 60, they're not exercising, they're not watching what they eat, and they slowly lose the ability to enjoy even some of the simpler things in life. So he set out 10 of the things that you have to be able to do to enjoy your life. These are without this, I mean, imagine the grip strength required to open a jar.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Well, most 80-year-olds can't do it.
Correct.
Right? But it turns out that the human body ages very, very slowly in terms of muscle and fitness if we maintain it. But if we don't maintain it, it drops off like a cliff after the age of 60. So in order to maintain it, and the Younger Next Year book is about the same subject,
Yeah.
they're both teaching the same thing. The centenarian decathlon includes grip strength and lifting strength.
Yeah.
So you can carry a briefcase,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And it includes going up and down stairs.
Yes.
Things that you think of as just being innately God-given, but when you get into your 70s, a lot of people struggle with these, what we think are so simple, because the
Absolutely.
decline, the natural decline is pretty steep. But it turns out, if you exercise rigorously, now we're not talking about gardening here,
Right.
okay?
Right.
Well, you can't make the decathlon if you're gardening. No, you got to get your heart rate up, and you have to do weightlifting.
Yes.
Oh my God, who knew, right? I never thought you could do a 1-hour weightlifting program and get a cardio workout at the same time.
And both are important. I love that you said both are both cardio and weightlifting.
Exactly, and I never knew you could get cardio during a weightlifting exercise. I didn't even know, but he runs us through it, man.
I don't know where I saw it. The guy talked about weightlifting. Again, with weights, it's actually good for your brain because they talked about Alzheimer's and stuff like that.
It's all related.
Yeah.
It's all related. The whole thing, it turns out there's a large body of evidence that the dementia and even Alzheimer's may actually all be due to the same thing that's plaguing everybody. It's all about the plaque, all right? So I'm on this ultra vegan diet because I had a heart attack, despite
Wow.
being in shape and watching I haven't eaten processed food in years and years and years and years, because when I turned 50, I discovered that I had plaque in my heart when I had my 50-year-old physical.
Yeah.
So I've been this is my third change in diet, trying to change my diet to impact my health.
Good point. Good point. Wow, excellent. Excellent. Do you meditate?
I do.
You do?
I do. I meditate mostly because I do yin yoga.
Okay.
So I've been a yogi for 30 years. And when I first learned yoga, I learned hatha yoga, which is the most common yoga in America. It's sun salutations and lots of, you can work up a sweat doing hatha yoga.
Yeah, yeah.
Yin yoga is different. Yin yoga is holding the poses much longer and very focused on breathing, and that's when I meditate.
Really?
Because I'll hold a pose for 2-3 minutes at a time and really get deep into it, and that's one form of meditation for me, because I have a really hard time slowing my brain down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's, the meditation helps you with that part of it as well.
Oh yeah, and you know, a lot of people think of meditation like you have to sit cross-legged and do nothing and
Right,
try.
right.
No, yeah, that's one form of meditation. meditation to me is really any time that you slow your brain down and just relax the brain.
Got it.
And yin yoga is the best thing that I've ever done for meditation.
I'm going to ask you a question that's kind of in a different section, but it goes to right where you are right now. Where do you find, Craig, you run a business, you run a company. Where do you find the time to do, there are people who say I haven't got time to work out, and I don't agree with that because I work out. You always get, but you're finding time to work out, to do yoga, doing your walks, you're reading books. How do you find time to do all this stuff? How do you?
Well, number one is I have more time now than I had maybe 5 or 10 years ago because I have a really great leadership team.
Excellent.
And so they don't need me on a day-to-day basis anymore. So that frees me up to go and sail my boat, which is another form of meditation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to meditate, try going out to the real open ocean in a sailboat for days at a time. And that's a whole nother subject, though. That's a meditation, but it's also the opposite.
It's a challenge. That's a huge. That's what your biggest challenge. Yeah.
It's a huge challenge, and so it's a meditation when, like, I used to feel like I was meditating when I sailed my old boat short distances. And then we bought this other boat in San Francisco, and we've been trying to get it back to the Virgin Islands. So we've done 6,500 miles, including a 1,000-mile trek to the Galapagos and a 1,000-mile trek from the Galapagos. And so when I'm sailing that boat in the open ocean like that, my brain is a computer all 100% of the time. Yeah. Even when I'm sleeping, I'm hearing the boat, I'm feeling the boat, I'm listening to the boat, I'm sensing with all 5 of my senses, maybe not taste, 4 of my senses. Yeah. I'm keeping abreast of, it's like a computer with 32 different monitors all around the boat, reporting on what's going on.
That's right.
But when I used to sail just for a few hours at a time, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. Let's go into what I'm putting under the title of inner self. But what about gratitude, being thankful?
So it's been an astonishing shift for me. I mean, it's not like I wasn't grateful my whole life.
Right.
I was never, a bad person, but I had an edge. That was too much of an edge, and it was not an edge that was serving me well. And 10, oh my God, almost exactly 10 years ago to the day, I gotta go look at my calendar to remember the exact day, but it's almost exactly 10 years ago that I had that sailing experience when the world just changed for me and I had this like massive, overwhelming sense of gratitude.
Really?
And ever since that time, my life has been different. Really? I came back from that sabbatical. This was the last day of my 2-month sabbatical when this occurred. I was in the ocean, in the Caribbean Ocean, 40 miles from anything. There was nothing but water.
Yeah.
And we had done 1,000 miles of sailing and 17 islands, me and my buddy Kevin, and the conditions just, I don't want to tell the whole story, but the conditions just became spectacular at the very moment that I had this overwhelming sense of gratitude. Everything changed. The wind changed. The wind sped up. The wind shifted. The sun set. The boat took off. It got really dark, and the entire boat lit up with bioluminescence all around it. All at the, within minutes of me having this overwhelming sense of gratitude. That has really changed my life.
I got to ask you about that. And again, this may be, if this is out of hand, but do you feel like that was a God moment? I mean, that's how I'd put it.
It was a spiritual moment. I don't believe in God in the conventional form of God.
Okay.
But I like to, the things you would say a God moment, I would say the universe.
Got it.
It was a spiritual moment for me where I felt like my sense of overwhelming gratitude summoned the universe to support me. And it was, I get goosebumps even remembering this experience because it had such an amazing effect on me. And ever since then, my life changed. in 100 ways.
So on gratitude, are you thankful every day? Is there something that you mentally say, or when something happens, you?
I do.
Okay.
I do.
Can you just give me an idea?
I do. Well, I'll give you an idea. Going back a couple of years, when COVID hit in March of 2020, my business went from $1 million a month to zero. That was a tough time.
Yeah.
That was a really tough time. And every morning, I woke up and I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, COVID's going to be the best thing that ever happened to you. What other choice do you have? Are you going to lay in your misery? Are you going to feel sorry for yourself? No. You're going to take the brutal facts of your current situation and you're going to make the best of it.
Excellent.
And so I did that just about every morning. I even did that after my heart attack in March of 21, at the very bottom of COVID, when I heart attacked and nearly died. The next day I said, this heart attack's going to be the best thing that ever happened to me, because what are you going to do? And you know, it was because of the heart attack that I met Jay 6 months later, who told me about Dr. Esselstyn's book about reversing heart disease, which led me to this whole research of all these books about how you can reverse heart disease with the right diet, and how it's just the American diet that is the root cause of heart disease. Now, lots of people can eat the American diet and not get heart disease. That's a genetic thing. I got the bad genes, right? But 85% of Americans have the bad genes, okay? I have the really bad genes. I got the double bad genes. Everybody in my family's had heart disease.
Okay.
But now I find out I can reverse it just by eating the most delicious foods on the planet. Wow, that's not so hard.
See, right there, it's a whole different attitude on food. Because somebody else would say, I'm on such a strict diet. You just phrased it completely different.
Because once you do it, it's like, oh my God, I can't even fathom the thought of going back.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Fruits and vegetables are really delicious.
Yeah. Did you ever have a business coach, or do you have one now?
Three.
Say that again. You have three now?
Not right today, but over the last 20 years.
You've had business coaches.
I've had different coaches at various times, and at times I've had as many as three.
So you clearly you highly recommend, if someone's watching this video and they're trying to.
You got to have the right coaching. So I owe a lot. I have a life coach, Betty. Betty wrote the book on life coaching and is a renowned life coach, different than any other coach. I asked Betty, I said, Betty, you know, why are you so good? And you know what she told me? She said, Craig, I tell people what they need to hear, not just listen and run up the bill. No, I tell you what I think, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I just asked Betty, I'm having this problem with these two employees who are fighting at each other. What should I do? And I would be writing the script from Betty of how to handle it, okay? Because Betty is the world's greatest interpersonal communication coach ever, okay? She wrote a book called The Joy is in the Journey. And oh my God, she's unbelievable. I didn't need a coach to teach me how to read a balance sheet, or you know, I got an MBA. I learned that stuff easy. That stuff's easy. That's the technical stuff of business. You know, it's compared to the interpersonal stuff. Yeah. The financials and that kind of thing is child's play. Okay. But for me, always the interpersonal part of it has been the challenge for me. And so, having coaches, these people are absolutely instrumental in my success in life as well as in business.
Excellent, excellent. On that same thing about you, do you, I don't know where you would find the time to do this, but do you volunteer your time? Or do you donate to a favorite cause? Do you donate to different causes?
A little. So, you know, donate. We, as far as a business is concerned, we donate about $100,000 to $200,000 a year worth of in-kind services to the major marketing organizations in town. So the American Marketing Association, the Houston Business Marketing Association, the American Advertising Federation, the contractors, ABC Contractors Group. We participate in a big way with these groups. So it's a way to give back to the community, but it's also self-serving because these are the people who need to know who we are.
Sure, sure.
We also, we've been giving away a scholarship for about 20 years, the American Advertising Federation Educational Scholarship Fund.
Yeah.
We've had the Skyline Displays Graphic Arts Scholarship, and we give away a few $1,000s each year to a student that's chosen by them.
Nice.
They get our scholarship. And then I donate to my alma mater. I give Tulane a few bucks, you know, that kind of thing. But
So you see, you start out saying, yeah, we donate like it's no big deal. And then you mentioned, you go down a whole list of all the stuff you're doing to donate.
a little bit, you know, but I mean, would I like to give more? Yeah.
That's all right. That was
It's a bit.
Craig, what motivates you and how do you stay motivated? How do you stay optimistic? And on that same notion, how do you pass it on, since you're a CEO, how do you pass it on to your employees? But you first.
Oh, okay. Well, me first. You know, there's a book that I read one time called We Are Driven. I don't really know what motivates me per se. I just know that I've been incredibly motivated since I was born. Okay?
Okay.
It's like one of those things. I mean, I was 8 years old when I have this vivid memory of asking my mother to help me call Newsday because I wanted to be a newspaper delivery boy when I was 8 years old. And they said, you have to be 12. And I was devastated. I mean, that was 50% of my life to go, you know, before I was, and I managed to do it at 11 and a half. But I've just been that way, all right?
Okay.
I've always had a side hustle going. I mean, I went to college, and while I was in undergrad, I bought and restored 3 cars and sold them while I was going to school.
Wow.
And when I went to do my MBA, I was working full-time and did an executive MBA at Tulane and started restoring my father's old Shelby all at the same time.
Wow.
I'm just a nutcase in that regard. I just have a hard time not keeping my mind busy.
Okay, now that's you. How do you pass it on to your employees? Because a lot of people, Craig.
You know, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah, story's the best way.
So I'll talk about a gentleman who came to work here a few months ago. I won't say his name. We hired him for a particular role, and he had experience in that role. It was an important role. And within the first week, he got into it interpersonally with his supervisor, and his colleagues weren't enjoying him, and it wasn't working out.
Right.
And I visited with him personally, and I said, look, it's not working out. You know, you're gonna have to change these behaviors. And sent him back, and it still didn't work out. So we have a 3-strike policy here.
Okay.
So I met with him again for the 2nd strike, and I just said, look, if you can't change this behavior and this behavior and this behavior, you cannot work here. It's just that simple.
Right.
These are our core values. And he said he would try, and I said, so here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna move you to a different group and give you a different role that you can do. But we're gonna put you in a different environment with a different boss. And so there's a parlance for that called getting people into the right seats on the bus. He was in the wrong seat on the bus. So we moved him to this other role, and at first his colleagues were, because they already knew him, right? He was in the same group, but doing a different role.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we'll see. Well, you know, it's been about 3 months since we made that shift. And I've checked in on him, and the response has been pretty good each time I've checked in with his colleagues about him and his boss.
Yeah, which is a huge difference from before.
A huge difference,
Yeah.
right? And I checked in on him again yesterday. And his boss said, you know, he's doing great. We're really glad to have him. And I happened to run into him a few minutes later. And I said, hey, I'm really proud of you. You know, you're doing great work. you're appreciated, your colleagues like you. I said, thank you. And he said, no, thank you. And I said, what do you mean? He said, no, thank you. He said, I'll come see you and I'll tell you, but thank you. And I'll tell you what he's going to say, because it's not the first time this has happened.
Yeah.
Here's what he's going to say. He's going to say back to me what I said to him. I looked him in the eye and I said, I don't think you've ever worked for anybody who held you accountable for doing your best work every minute of every day.
Excellent point.
And that's how I hold my people accountable. And that's how I, quote, motivate them. You can't motivate people. You can't. They're either intrinsically motivated or they're not. You can demotivate the hell out of them, but you can't motivate them. You have to hire people who are motivated, or you have to hire people who might be motivated but have never really understood what's expected in a high-performing organization.
Yeah.
So you take a guy playing pee-wee football who's jacking around having a good time. That's one thing. You take that guy and you put him on a professional football team, and there are 60 other people on that team that are looking at him to perform at a world-class level every minute of every day.
That's right.
Well, if you want a high-performing company, I mean, we're doing world-class work for world-class clients here, okay? We need everybody all in every minute of every day.
That's an excellent point.
And that's something new to a lot of people.
Yeah, that's an excellent
A
point.
lot of people. Because the average employee in an average company works 4 hours a day and spends the other 4 hours doing whatever the hell they do. and it's not typical. But here, no. We got 90 people who are working their butts off every minute of every day because they're part of a high-performing team working for very high expectation clients. And you know what? Not everybody wants that.
It's
But
true.
most people really do, but they've never had it, so they don't even realize how much they want it. They want to be part of a winning team. And to be part of a winning team, everybody needs to be pulling their weight at a high level.
Excellent. Craig, excellent. You mentioned books. What's your favorite book, or maybe your favorite couple of books? And you can just quickly list them. These are just your favorites. I'm going to ask you your favorite quote, which I think I know what it is. Your favorite book, favorite movie, favorite thing to do. But let's start with book.
Okay, so I have a list of my top 20 books.
Yeah.
And 16 of them are business books.
Okay.
The E-Myth is the #1 book I recommend for anyone starting or trying to run a small business.
Excellent.
It's now called the E-Myth Mastery or something like that. You know, it's been through a million iterations, millions of books sold, et cetera. And I'll mention one other book that has helped change my life, which of course is Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. So that's actually #1 on the list.
Excellent.
And the E-Myth is #2.
Excellent.
And then there's 18 more that go after that. I just bought copies of Multipliers to give to my team by Liz Wiseman. Multipliers is a book about how leaders can pass the baton to train the next level of leaders. And that's what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
I'm elevating my team. We've grown so much that I don't want to hire people at this level to come in on top of my team. I want to elevate my team.
Excellent.
And
Nice.
so I bought 5 copies of Multipliers, and we're going to be talking about Multipliers. And
Nice.
It's another great book.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote? The systems run the business and the people run the systems.
You have that on your wall here somewhere.
I do.
Yeah.
That's from the E-Myth.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm so focused on systems and process. You can't run a business like this without a focus on systems and process. And I'm still struggling to get it really wired in.
Favorite movie? Please tell me it's not something like Porky's or something like that.
No, Monty Python, the Holy Grail.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh yeah, I actually have a T-shirt that you only know what it is if you're familiar with Monty Python, because it's a whole T-shirt about the airspeed of an African swallow.
Okay.
It's funny stuff. Yeah.
That's right. All right. Favorite thing to do?
Favorite thing to do? Okay, there's another part of my ritual. My wife and I snuggle. We snuggle morning and night.
Nice.
And I'm not talking about lovemaking. I'm just talking about snuggling. And we are world-class snugglers. And there's nothing I love more than snuggling with my wife.
That's beautiful. I'm going to ask you this question. This is usually the last question. If we have time, I'm going to come back above it. But let me ask you the last question because I have to get this in. If you could choose to have one of the following, more of one of the following, what would it be? More friends, more wisdom, more imagination, more opportunity, more patience, more time, more talent, more connections, or more peace? And I can read that again.
Yeah, read it once more.
Friends, wisdom, imagination, opportunity, patience, time, talent.
Wait. Go on.
Connections, or more peace?
All right, well, I'll just tell you the three that really stuck out with me. Wisdom, time, and peace.
Yeah.
With wisdom comes all sorts of things that I don't even know what they are yet because I'm still gathering wisdom. But I talk about wisdom a lot more now because it's what I'm trying to pass on to my team. Right? Because I'm not as sharp as I once was. Okay, not nearly. My brain has slowed down, but the wisdom has increased. Time is the one thing none of us have enough of. And peace is what I really seek in my deep core.
You seem like a guy of peace, though, to me. I would think most people, I didn't think you were going to say peace. You seem like a guy who's at peace with.
I'm in search of peace. It's been a long journey, a long, long journey. Peace is elusive for me because I'm a futurist, right? So everything's urgent for me, and I've spent my whole life planning and exercising and working for the future. And it's only when I had my heart attack that I was like, whoa, Craig, you may not have much future left, okay? You better get on with the program, right? So, and I take everything so seriously. One of our key things that we look for when we're interviewing senior people, Rob, let me ask you, if you were to go back to your office and discover that the sound was completely messed up on this interview, how would you feel?
Horrible.
What would be going on in your stomach?
My stomach would be upside down. There's not much you can do about that.
Exactly.
The sound, yeah.
That's the kind of question we ask because that's the kind of people we want who feel it when things don't go well.
Yeah.
Right? Some people just don't care. Well, they may be living at peace. My buddy Kevin, bless his heart, he's never cared about anything, okay? He just goes through life from one thing to another without a care in the world. In many respects, I admire him for that. Of course, he owns nothing, okay? But that's his way, all right? So he's lived a life very much at peace, and I've lived a life very much of, where am I going next? And that's not a peaceful existence.
Got it.
So I want more peace.
Well, let's close this out with this, Craig. Someone watching this video, the whole reason I'm doing this is so people understand how people like you think, how they approach challenges. So what advice, just one word of advice to someone who is starting a business, thinking of starting a business, going through some crap in their life?
Okay, one piece of advice I would give is control what you can and don't fret about what you can't control.
Excellent.
That's one that's really critical. And then read the books. There's so much wisdom and knowledge and experience. There's so many great books that you can learn just about anything from reading books. And have a coach. Coaches are important. Coaches are real important because no matter how many books you read and no matter how much you think you know, have a coach who will tell you when you're wrong. Because you don't want a coach who's just milking your dollar. And there's lots of those, right? Yeah. But find a coach who will hold you accountable for doing the work that you need to do to be successful. And I'll leave you with one last thought.
Go ahead.
If you have a product or service that you can sell, that for which there's enough of a market, at a price that, a market at a price that can make you a profit, then just about anyone can be successful in a small business if you have those three components. If you do the work and if you do it properly. Now, bring me a business that for which there's no market, or there's no one who'll pay enough to make it profitable, or it's so limited that it's just not practical,
Yeah.
then I can't help you. But if you have those three things and your business isn't meeting your own objectives, it's about you, not about anything else. It's not your employee's fault. It's not your customer's fault. It's about you. You need to do the work. And if you do the work and you put the systems in place and you have a strategy that's practical, then you can succeed. And you can grow that business to whatever extent is possible given your market conditions and achieve your wildest dreams. But you got to do the work.